This week, the sounds of the sea, an ancient art discovery, our returned stolen masterpiece, and the lying down competition.
Over here! Hey, listen up! Newsy!
Newsy Paloozy! Hello and welcome to Newsy Paloozy, the coolest pool of news and information for kids.
And adults.
Yes, a shout out to all our adult listeners. So, in case you didn't know, I'm your host, Leela Shivshankar Prickett.
And I'm the sidekick, producer, and mama, Lindy Prickett.
This week, the oceans speak. Yes, it's a noisy place apparently, as scientists learn more and more about the sounds sea creatures make and what it means for the health of our planet. Over 100 ancient drawings are discovered on the walls of a cave in Spain that could hold clues about ancient artists and the world they inhabited. A stolen painting by one of the world's most famous artists is returned in a bloodied pillowcase. And a crazy competition is underway in the southeastern European country of Montenegro, where participants have already spent 30 days just lying down on mats. Alrighty then, let's dive on in. First up, it's the
big news story
Of the week.
So we all know that most land animals make a noise like right?
Oh my gosh, Mommy, you scared me.
Sorry. And we know that those animals often use sound for exactly that purpose, right? To shock and scare, but also to attract. And we've kind of heard that even some sea creatures make a noise, like, of course, dolphins. But we're learning more and more that it doesn't end there. In fact, the ocean is a cacophony of noise, would you believe?
Well, I had no idea. But maybe it's because my ears don't work very well underwater, being, full of water.
Well, that is a very good point, and perhaps that's why we as humans are so behind in knowing the sounds of the sea, but hello technology! So for a while now, researchers have been using underwater sound recorders called hydrophones.
That makes sense, as hydro is a suffix. That means water, right?
Prefix, you mean, as it's before the word. But also, these hydrophones keep getting better and cheaper, so researchers can leave them down in the murkiest marine environments and capture audio.
Even in the deepest depths of the ocean, like the Mariana Trench, the deepest place on Earth?
Yes!
Whoa.
But also, artificial intelligence is now helping scientists listening to tons of recordings in super quick time and piece together similarities and patterns across the world to help identify different creatures', voices.
Good old AI, I think.
In fact, a research team from Gogh, right here in India, at the National Institute of Oceanography, is leading a lot of this machine learning.
Good old India.
Of course, we know some of the basics. Like with land creatures, there are sea creatures that use sound to attract mates. Like here's the male damselfish.
Ooh la la. Although, gotta say, that sounds like a frog.
Okay. And of course, there's the get out of my territory or I'll bite your head off noise from the clownfish.
Huh. Can't say that's very scary. But then, maybe they hear it differently down there?
Yeah, actually, that's a really interesting point. Or maybe their fishy bodies have different acoustic abilities.
Got me. All I know is that it stands to reason that if you can't see very well, and let's face it, most of the ocean is darkness, right?
Yep, true.
Then you gotta rely on sound.
We just have to learn to translate it, that's all. And eventually, with more research, we could not just map out the sounds of the sea, but even discover new creatures. Like there's a mystery buzz that has everyone perplexed. And never mind that there are so many unknown fish like this.
I guess all these recordings help scientists monitor the oceans better and be able to help if they spot a problem.
Exactly. Did you know that scientists can tell the health of a coral reef by the sounds they make?
I do not.
Yeah, in fact, they can tell when a reef is dying more from the way it sounds than the way it looks.
Whoa, I guess this is super important because the ocean covers almost 2/3 of the earth, right?
That's right. And it plays a huge role, from helping clean the air we breathe to helping produce the food we eat.
Well, one thing is for sure. I think that Sounds of the Sea album that some people use to help sleep might just need updating.
And now let's move out of the ocean and into a cave. A well-known cave in Spain. In fact, that's popular with hikers and spelunkers.
Splunko waters?
Spelunkers, those are people who make a hobby of exploring and studying caves, which they've been doing for years in one giant cave in eastern Spain. But little did they know what was hidden inside.
Oh, that sounds like a story for our Spanish siblings, Nina and Marky Graniana.
Yep, you got it.
Over to you guys. Tell us all.
When archaeologists first discovered the art inside the Covas Donas cave in 2021, they knew it was going to be a big deal.
But now they know even more about the drawings. It's a really big deal.
Researchers discovered more than 100 drawings of animals dating back 24,000 years. The paintings were made using clay, which was hardly ever done back then. Usually, cave people would use a rock to carve the pictures into the wall.
But this time they smeared their hands into some clay and used it to draw. Messy. I like it.
There are pictures of horses, deer, and something called an auroch.
That's an extinct wild bull.
Whatever it is, there are lots of them. And if I'm being super honest, you can't really tell what the animals are.
That's true, but back in the day, it must have been awesome. Looking at cave art must have been like reading a comic book. Now, why do I have the sudden urge to do some finger painting?
From Barcelona, this is Nina Graniana and Marky Graniana for Newsy Paloozy. Da-da-da-da!
Thanks a lot, you guys. Best sign-offs ever.
Seriously, y'all know how to make Newsy Paloozy pop.
What's that? I'll tell you what. That's the halftime bell, which means it's time to hear what's making news around the rest of the world. Hold on tight. It's
Around the World in 80 Seconds.
Whoa, hold tight.
Libya is reeling after last week's devastating floods, with the death toll soaring past 11,000. Search and rescue efforts continue. An international aid effort picks up as thousands of residents are now homeless. Canada and India are so annoyed with each other, they're sending senior diplomats or representatives home. The spat is over Sikh activists living in Canada, which India accuses of planning attacks against India, while Canada is accusing India of being involved in the assassination of an activist. 5 Iranian Americans who spent years in prison in Tehran are on their way home to the United States. Widely regarded as hostages, the 5 were released after a deal was struck to let Iran receive money for oil it wasn't allowed to get due to sanctions. And in an unusual congressional hearing on UFOs in Mexico, lawmakers hear testimony that, quote, "We are not alone in the universe," and were shown the alleged remains of non-human beings. Most experts, however, disagreed with the assessment of the remains, which were found 5 years ago in Peru.
Well, thank you so much for that. Wait for it. That whippity-boppity-zippity-zappy wrap of what's making headlines elsewhere in the world, Mama.
Oh, I never get tired of hearing that, even if I have no idea what you're saying. Except I do, because you say it every week. But in case anybody is new, she's saying whippity, wappity, zippity, zappity rap of what's making headlines elsewhere in the world, Mama.
Exactly.
Yes. Anytime, Leela. And now for a bit of this.
Now it's the ACE part of our podcast. That stands for Art, Culture and Entertainment. Darling.
So, Leela, if I ask you to tell me some of the most famous painters in the entire world, who would you say?
Picasso. And the sunflower guy, Vincent van Gogh. And that other flower guy, the blue and purple pond.
Water lilies, Claude Monet.
Yes, him. And, of course, the Mona Lisa guy.
That would be Da Vinci. Excellent. Vincent van Gogh, or Van Gogh, was the name I was looking for. Well, what if I told you that one of his paintings was stolen a few years ago and was returned to an art detective in a bloodied pillowcase?
I would say ew, but it's intriguing to say the least.
Yes, so for more on this Holland heist story, let's cut across to our Amsterdam correspondent, Tafunmi Fagade.
All right then, tell us this crazy tale, Tafunmi.
Thanks, Leela. It all started in the pandemic, when everything was shut down, and an art thief decided to break into his local museum in the Dutch town of Laren, southeast of Amsterdam. This just so happened to have a painting by the country's most famous artist, Vincent van Gogh. Now, most of us know him for his sunflower paintings, right? Or, of course, Starry Night. You know, the twirly night sky with bright stars. Well, this dark landscape painting, known as Spring Garden, looks nothing like those. Still, being a Van Gogh, it was worth some money. So, with a sledgehammer and pillowcase in hand, this art thief broke through 2 layers of protective glass doors, cutting himself in the process, but swipes the pricey painting off the wall. However, it turns out getting rid of a famous painting isn't so easy. And it went from one criminal gang to another and another until one day, the main art detective on the job had a visitor. The detective was attending a party when a stranger standing under a tree caught his attention and basically said he wanted to get rid of the painting because it was too much trouble trying to keep it hidden. Eventually, the stranger knocked on the art detective's door and hands over the painting in the same old pillowcase stained with the blood of the art thief. Luckily, it seems none got on the painting, which was returned in pretty good condition. I'm Tafunmi Fagade in Amsterdam, reporting for Newsy Paloozy.
What a crazy story, Tafunmi. Thanks. But I mean, who'd be an art thief anyway, huh?
Totally. Apparently in the art world, they say that art isn't really stolen, but temporarily kidnapped, because no one ever really wants to keep it.
Yeah, it's not like you could hang it on your wall and show to all your friends.
Unless they were all thieves, I guess. Yeah, as if this story wasn't wacky enough, let's head over to the Lucky Dip machine and see what oddball it spits out for us this week.
Step right up.
Have a go at the Lucky Dip machine.
The Lucky Dip machine.
What's it going to do today, eh?
An oddball, no doubt.
An oddball, no doubt.
So, Mama,
So, Leela.
what's the oddest competition you've ever heard of?
Ooh, well, there's lots of kooky competitions. That's a bit of a speciality of ours, as we just discussed with the Gravy Wrestling Championship a couple of weeks ago.
Episode 156, yes. And there's the cheese rolling contest, never mind longest beard, and the gross toe wrestling competition, ew.
Which I covered for Reuters TV almost 20 years ago. And trust me, it's totally disgusting. Get it?
Wow, that's a long time ago, Mama.
Sure was. Anyway, what do you got up your sleeve? Something even weirder?
Oh yeah, here's a hint.
A sleeping competition? I know a few people who'd be good at that.
Are they lazy by any chance? Because if so, for perhaps the first time in their lives, they could be rewarded for it.
What?
See, it all started 12 years ago as kind of a satire.
Satire, fancy word, which means...
Well, it's when you use humor as a weapon to attack a person, an idea, or even a behavior that you think is bad or silly.
Yep.
So, this competition started as a satirical response to a negative stereotype about the country Montenegro.
Ooh, I love saying that. Montenegro. That's in the region of southeastern Europe called the Balkans, right across from the Adriatic Sea from Italy, right?
That's the one. Well, there's this thing about calling Montenegrins lazy.
Ooh, that's not very nice.
No. Well, one Montenegrin decided to lean into the accusation, holding a, drumroll please, a Laziest Citizen Competition with a cash prize for doing nothing. Ready, set, stop. The rules are simple. You can eat, sleep, use your phone, read, do whatever you want, as long as you're just lying down on a mat in a room with other participants near to you.
Oh man, weird. I mean, how do you...
Right. You do get a bathroom break once every 8 hours.
Phew! Wait, they have to wait 8 hours?
The previous lie-in world record was a mere 117 hours, just under 5 days in 2021. Well, this competitive, super-driven, and dedicated lot have already clocked over 700 hours just lying around. Yes, do the math, that's over 30 days. Insane.
I would literally go insane if I sat around doing nothing for 30 days.
Nope, no sitting allowed. You'd be out. This is a purely lying down championship.
Weird.
So far, 7 contestants are left battling it out. Thankfully, no one's reported any health issues so far. But then again, I'm not sure they've really been able to check.
And it's time to wrap up the podcast with
The top 5 facts heard today.
Fab fact number 1.
Artificial intelligence is helping scientists understand the sounds of the sea and identify the voices of many sea creatures. What's the name of the recording device these researchers use? Hydrophones.
Fab fact number 2.
These scientists can even record sounds from the deepest depths of the ocean, including which place that is the deepest spot on Earth? The Mariana Trench.
Fab fact number 3.
Cave art that's 24,000 years old has been discovered in Spain in a giant cave popular with spelunkers. Who are they? People who make a hobby exploring and studying caves.
Fab fact number 4.
Montenegrins compete in a lying down contest of the laziest citizens. Where is Montenegro? It's in a region of southeastern Europe called the Balkans, right across the Adriatic Sea from Italy.
Fab fact number 5.
The competition was started as a humorous response to the negative stereotypes that Montenegrins are lazy. What's that called when you use humor as a weapon? Satire. And don't forget, if you want to test yourself later on, then go to the Lucky Dip page of our website, newsypooloozy.com. That's pool like a swimming pool. So POOLOOZI, and take this quiz online in your own time.
And that almost brings us to the end of this episode of Newsy Paloozy. But we have a review left on Apple Podcasts to read out.
Yes, this is from Rainbow Kids 436 from quite a few weeks, maybe even months ago, as our summer break caused us some delay. So profuse apologies, as in a lot of apologies.
As in a lot of apologies. And a lot of thanks for writing. I've been listening almost a year, and I love you, podcast. Please shout out.
Out! Sorry, very bad joke.
Yes. What Mama means is thank you.
Thank you.
And what about those who haven't left a review? What's holding you back?
Yeah, please do take a moment or two to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen, as most apps do have a rate and review facility, and it really does help others find us.
Go on, think of the good karma you'll get. And of course, we try to read at least one out every week. Okay then, we'll see you next week in the happy, splashy, giant, newsy paloozy.